Hi, welcome to the 2024-2025 TMEA Horn Etudes. My name is Dr. Andrea Denis, and I am the Assistant Professor of Horn at Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas. This year's Etudes are selected from the Kling book. They are a great way to express your musicality while showcasing your technique and range. Within each etude, it's also very important to think about your tone and how you sound. I hope you enjoy playing and learning these etudes. Thank you. So the first etude that is selected is etude number 9. The tempo of this is quarter note equals 86 to 100. Now, even though 100 is your fastest tempo, that does not mean you should go at quarter note equals 100. Going through this etude, there were also numerous errata. Many triplet markings are missing throughout the etude. I've listed them all on the TMEA website in the errata, but just going through them now: measure 17, beat 3 and 4, measure 18, beat 3, measure 21, 22, beat 1, 3, and 4, measure 23, all beats or triplets are missing, measure 24 through 28, again, all triplets are missing, measure 29, 31, and 32, again, triplets are missing on beat 3 and 4. And also, in other areas, there are specific eighth note groupings, such as in measure 9, 11, and 15. It's very important that you make a distinction between the eighth notes and the triplets rhythms there. So, for instance, measure 15, 1 te, 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 forte. Those last three groupings on there are not a triplet. They are eighth notes. All right. So now to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of this. This piece is Allegro maestoso, and it's spiramente. So we want to think lots and lots of energy at the beginning. Big fortissimo sound. But again, it has to be controlled fortissimo sound, not over the top. We also need a big contrast of dynamics. So we go piano in measure 9. And it's really important that at the beginning we're fortissimo and then we go piano. So you can practice by doing long tones or quality tones with your dynamics. So then you know the range of what your dynamics are really capable of while having a good quality sound. All right. Another aspect in this piece that can be kind of tricky is the lip trill that's in measure 16. Again, this is a lip trill. It is not a finger trill. So you're supposed to lip trill to the D. And you will start on the C. Okay, there are lots of ways to practice lip trills, but it's really, really important that the goal is to find the middle ground. You're not really on a C, you're not really on a D as you're trilling. You're right in between. So it's really, really important to kind of feel where that is to get that trill. This etude overall is really, really fun to play. It's got lots of different personalities. We have this big opening Firmamente section. Then in measure 20, 21, we get to this more lyrical, smooth legato section. And then back at the end, we're in this più vivo, so it's very fast and stately. Now, più vivo, you can only go as fast as you can play it cleanly. It's supposed to be faster than the beginning. So if the fastest you can play this is 100, then you must go slower than 100 at the beginning. So that should help you with your tempos. All right, number 33, our lyrical etude in this year's TMEA Etudes is Adagio Cantabile. In this etude, it is marked in 9/8 time, and the eighth note will get the beat. So the beat is going to be 92 through 120. And again, as in all the etudes, you do not have to take it at 120 if you cannot play it well. So at the beginning, it is really important as you are learning these pieces that you keep that metronome steady and set the entire time you are playing. Even if your eighth note equals 60 at the very beginning, you want that subdivision of the notes. This piece is also dolce espressivo, so sweet and expressive. Don't be afraid to showcase your dynamics and your phrasing and just have fun. This is a beautiful piece for horn. It's really important to pay attention to your slurs moving through the notes. And in a lot of these passages that we are playing the F on the first space, don't be afraid to play those thumb open as long as you have a good controlled sound and it doesn't sound too bright. Some of the B flat fingerings on this will really help set your pitches on here so that you don't accidentally play the wrong partial. All right. This piece is very smooth and very, very lyrical. In the low part of this, in measure 14, I would take a breath right after your low C, right in between going to your low A. Then you'll have enough air to make it through that very long passage in measure 15. In the very last section, where we have the 16ths moving through, like in 25 and measure 27, a great way to practice these is actually by doing lip slurs. So if you're looking at them, at least in measure 25, you can all do it on first valve. And then you can play your C open if you want, so it's not so out of tune. But the important part, and you get that mouth movement, so you keep the air and the buzz and everything very, very connected. So when you put actual fingers with it, it's much easier. So that is a great way to practice the end and making sure that all those passages are super, super smooth. Lip slurs are your best friend. All right, our next etude is number 3 in the clean book, which is Souvenir de Mozart. So it's an homage to Mozart. This is Allegro moderato, so your tempo should be 104 to 126. And again, as always, look through the etude. The beginning cannot be super, super fast unless you can play the end just as fast. We keep our tempo consistent throughout. This piece is a theme and variations. So we start with the original Mozart theme, and then we move through 2 variations, the triplet section and then the 16th note section at the end. There are no errata in this etude at all. I would definitely experiment with B-flat horn fingerings through this piece. There are sections where it really, really helps, and you don't have to use it for an entire passage. You can throw it in on one note to make sure that you get that note really, really solid. It's also important to pay attention to the Fs versus the Gs on the top of the staff. You might experiment playing F thumb 1 and then G thumb open, especially at the end when we're bouncing and we're skipping the F. The tendency is to accidentally play the F instead of the high G. So make sure you're really listening for those notes in the correct passages through there. This again is a very, very fun one. This is one that makes me out of breath. So make sure that you are breathing throughout and that you actually release some of the air as you're playing. To me, it's okay to take just a little bit of breath in between the triplet and the 16th note section, which you will hear in my recordings. There's just a little bit of a pause so that you can recoup your air. I would rather hear a much more solid tone, much more consistent feel of the piece, even if you have to just take a breath and release the air. Okay. So I hope you all enjoy this year's TMEA Etudes. Thank you.